Hi guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Hoping so. So we are going to have Angela hop on with us here in just a minute. We're going to give everyone a second to jump on. Okay, good. I have my phone propped, so I was worried it might cover the speaker. Do you guys like my sweatshirt? Custom Tulips in Tuscany shop coming soon. It's really soft, you guys. I'm very excited about it. Okay, so Angela, I don't think I saw you yet. As soon as you hop on, go ahead and request to join. It's only 7:30 here, and I'm seriously so tired, you guys. It feels so late. Oh, there you are. Hi, Angela. Okay, gonna add you in. Waiting for Angela. Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. See, you did get ready. You look cute.
No, well, I was in my sweats all day
That's
until
okay.
about 4 o'clock.
I was too, and I was like, sorry, Jory, I need you to watch Joshy. I gotta look decent and not like I'm dying on the live tonight. So,
It's a struggle, a real struggle.
well, we'll give everyone just a quick second to jump on. I know it notifies everyone
Oh, awesome.
coming on, so we'll jump
It
into it.
feels so late.
I
Like
know
it's only 8:30, but I'm like, oh my
it's
gosh.
only 7:30 here, and I'm drinking tea, trying
Wait, you're
to.
in Arizona, right?
I'm in California
California. Why did I think Arizona?
because we're from Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're from there, so we have a lot of family. We're like there every other weekend, it feels like. Okay,
Where are you in California?
what was that?
Where are you in California?
Oh, because my husband, so after we graduated college, he got a job in California, so we moved right out of college. We've been here
Nice.
for like 6 years now.
I'm jealous you have the ocean.
I know, yeah, but you don't want the mortgage. That's what you
Mm-mm.
don't want, the Cali mortgage.
Mm-mm.
Okay, you guys, so it looks like we got a good chunk of people on. So I just want to introduce Angela. She's a good friend of mine. I think I've been following you for a year and a half. It's been a little while
I
since
think we've been
Joshua's
following each
diagnosis.
other a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I've been following your journey pretty closely with Theo. I kind of hopped on the train a little late, but you always go back and share a lot of details about kind of where you guys came from and how you got his diagnosis and um, get down to the nitty gritty. But I know your story really well. So if you could just share your story about Theo, a little bit about his diagnosis for everyone tuning in.
Okay, so Theo has autism and also a diagnosis called pandas, which a lot of people aren't familiar with. So Theo was, I'll go back pretty far and I'll try to go fast. If I need to go faster, just let me know.
Okay.
But he stopped growing in utero. They, according to different tests and things that they did, they feel like he stopped growing at 32 weeks. And he came on his own at 35 weeks. So he was premature, and he was on oxygen for about 3.5 months. But really, other than that, like he was doing amazing, like hitting all of his milestones according to his adjusted age. I mean, walking, talking, he was talking a lot in the first few years. And then gradually around age 2, he just started regressing pretty severely. And it wasn't like an overnight thing, but so it was pretty gradual over about 6 month period. And one, like, I'm not quite sure like what exactly finally like made me think like, oh my gosh, we need to figure this out. But it was just kind of gradual. Like he was always eating. He would eat anything like we put him, not everything we put in front of him, but like he ate like a picky, typical toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking, and then like he was signing a ton. We have a ton of videos of him doing both of those things. They're hard for me to watch now, but he was just a typical 2-year-old, but then was regressing in all areas. And his pediatrician was like, it got to the point where he stopped responding to his name,
Yeah.
and he stopped making eye contact. And so his doctor's like, you know, I think we need to have him tested for congenital hearing loss because he had failed those screenings when he was a newborn. So we went down that route and did a ton of testing for that. And eventually he did like a sedated ABR where they test like everything in the brain for hearing,
Okay.
and everything was perfect. So at that point, we had spent about 6 months doing a lot of different tests, and I was kind of just fed up with where we were at with like the typical medical.
Right.
They just didn't have any answers for us.
Yeah.
And so I, at that point, was like, okay, we need to get the autism diagnosis because he definitely fell into that category 100%.
Yeah.
So we got the diagnosis for autism, and
So he
then
was 2.5 at that point. Okay.
yeah, almost
Which is a
3.
pretty early diagnosis, I feel like
Yeah.
pretty young.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what helped is his pediatrician, although he's not like our pediatrician right now, and he wasn't the best fit for us later, he was very into early intervention.
Yeah.
Even from the very beginning with Theo being premature. So Theo was already in the system for early intervention for occupational therapy and things like that, just to get him caught up with his adjusted age.
Right. That makes sense. Well, I know I am always very interested in all of your research that you do, and I know you've really thrown yourself into that since Theo's diagnoses, and I have to imagine a lot of that has kind of stemmed from him, and just figuring out why is this happening and how do I help him. But I am curious, some of the research that you found, because you guys have made a ton of just changes in your household for your whole family, not just Theo. So I do want to hear about some of that research that you found. I do want to put a disclaimer out there for anyone listening to always do your own research. Angela has binders, I mean, literally binders and binders of all of her research. And she spends excessive times figuring out what is best for my child. So just because something may be what she's found for Theo doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be for everyone, but I encourage you guys to do your research because the stuff she's found is really, really interesting. So go ahead.
100%. And I feel like I always tell moms that are like, what's caused my child's autism or what's caused my child's regression? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. Like, it is so personal. And what I feel has been Theo's issues is just for Theo. Like, it's not for anyone else.
Yeah.
But so when we got all those tests back for his hearing, I just felt super strongly. I hadn't done any research at all. I just felt like we needed to go completely gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, just because I knew that those foods caused inflammation. And Theo was literally living off of like Carnation instant breakfast drink and cow's milk. So we just dove into that for 1 week. And within 1 week of cutting out those foods, he started responding to his name again and started making eye contact again. So that for me was like, okay, we are on the right path for Theo. So I just totally dove into all that research, and any foods that caused inflammation, we cut out of his diet. And it was hard, but also at that point of his regression, he wasn't eating very much anyways.
Yeah.
So we kind of just led him in the direction of those foods that we were offering him. So yeah, that's where kind of the whole research started. We did a lot of genetic testing, and we found out that Theo, so there's quite a few different genetic mutations that can inhibit your body from detoxing. And Theo has like 4 out of like 6 of those main ones that are researched. So we knew right away.
You can actually do genetic testing for and find out if your child has like detoxifying, so that they have
markers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, certain genetic mutations. And if you want, you can message me on Instagram and I can get you in touch with the people that we use that I loved. Or I also have highlights of all these things if you just want to look at my highlights.
Will
But yeah,
someone drop her username in there? It's Angela Blymiller, but will someone put it in the comments so that people can go to it? And I think also it should pop up in this top corner up here if you guys click it after, and you can go to her page. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, we did genetic testing and it led us to find out that Theo, his body just can't detox like typical things that most people can. So that's how we felt like it really caused his regression. Different environmental insults that we are exposed to all the time, we feel is what really tipped the scale for Theo and his autism. So yeah, that's kind of where our research led. And we have tried also like not just inflammatory foods, but we've changed a lot of the way that we just live in our home as far as toxins. So I'm a clean
I love when you
freak.
share those because I totally have tried to cut stuff out. We do the detox baths now. Like I have loved seeing you share a bunch of those, even just the little things that families can make adjustments to in their house. I think for everyone, you know,
just like the salt baths, I share those on my stories too, or my highlights. But yeah, the salt baths is a big one. It's been a process for sure. Like I don't feel like anyone can do it overnight because it is so overwhelming and also super expensive. It's just not realistic.
Right.
So I always tell people like when one thing runs out at your home, you replace it with something clean.
Right.
And that's just so much easier like it's just so much easier.
You kind of detox as you go.
Yeah, and researching as you go, like, oh, what's a good replacement for this? Instead of like researching everything all at once and you just feel like paralyzed by all the information.
Right.
So yeah, we did our cleaning products, obviously our food. Cleaning products was a big one in our home because I'm a clean freak. So replacing those was a big deal. We use Branch Basics.
Okay. I've seen you share those.
Yeah, I love them. And just different things in our home to help Theo detox. We're now at the point where we just invested in a sauna. So we're getting a sauna for Theo to help him sweat things out. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. A lot of different research, like so many different things.
Yeah, so when you do some of those different detoxing methods for him, do you feel like you see a big difference after?
Yes. In the way that he sleeps, for sure. Like that's the first thing that we see. Also, like just his cognitive, like his understanding of things. Like he just seems more aware when we are being like pretty strict about being really clean.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. So definitely give her a follow if you guys want tips. She shares tons of stuff. She shares grocery hauls, all sorts of things relating to even just clean living, if you will. But so on the other side, you guys have jumped in full-fledged to lots of therapies for Theo. So I want to chat a little bit about some of the therapies that he's doing. And then maybe if we have time, a little bit about school and kind of what his placement is in school right now.
Okay. So as far as therapies, I am not like completely on one side. I feel like there's the biomedical side where we're trying to do clean living and also some holistic things that we do as far as detoxing with his doctor. And then also there's the typical mainstream scientific evidence-based things that we do. So Theo does ABA therapy. He does, yeah.
And for those who don't know, I was an ABA therapist for like 6+ years before having Joshua. So
we're so grateful. I'm so grateful for people. And I do want listeners to know we did not always have ABA therapy. So our first year of diagnosis, Theo didn't qualify for ABA therapy because the insurance that we had did not cover it.
Are you guys in Utah?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it was awful that first year, not like knowing that therapy was out there and not being able to have it was so hard.
I remember talking to you about that when you guys were trying to get approved and figure out how to get ABA therapy.
It was such a mess. So we actually ended up having to go through whatever it's called to get through, what is it called to get
Like a
insurance?
waiver?
The marketplace. The
Okay.
marketplace.
Okay.
To through open enrollment. I think it happens like this time of year to
Okay.
get Theo his own insurance. So
Yeah.
he has his own insurance, and then he has his secondary through my husband's employer.
Okay.
So we had to invest in that, but he now has insurance that covers ABA therapy.
Okay.
So we do ABA therapy 5 days a week, every morning for about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And then he goes to school where our school district actually has like an ABA based, they do the STAR curriculum. I don't know if you're familiar with
so
that.
it's kind of that's like part of their curriculum almost.
Uh-huh.
Like the ABA led training. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then
so do they correlate the goals with your clinic that you're at? That's nice. So everyone's on one team, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Like our BCBA came with us to.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's
That's
been
nice.
awesome. And then so when he comes home from school, then we do 3 to 4 nights a week. He does occupational therapy.
Okay.
He also does speech therapy 4 mornings a week with, we have someone come in our home, or they go to clinic where he goes to ABA.
Okay.
And we also do chiropractic care, which is kind of more on the biomedical side.
Right.
We do that 3 times a week.
And those make a huge difference for him. I've seen in your stories.
It's been
like a kid after.
Yeah, the biggest relief, especially for the pandas. We can get more into that later. But yeah, those are the main things that we do. He's also going to be starting piano lessons, so music therapy. Yeah.
Fun. We're doing music therapy right now too, and it's our fun therapy. It's our one where he gets to be with friends and listen to music, and it's a fun therapy out of our busy week.
Definitely. Yeah, we're looking to that. We need that fun therapy in our life.
We need something fun. Totally.
Yep.
Well, you guys have, a very hectic schedule. And Theo is not your only child. You also have beautiful Eva.
Yes.
I'm saying that right? Eva?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. And so for those of you who don't follow Angela or don't know, Eva is an incredible sister. She's so good with Theo, and it's like she was born to have this heart for him, and I love seeing their bond. Would you share just a little bit about their relationship? And I think too how it affects Eva, because you really share the good and the bad. And you're super open about the toll that it takes on Eva at times, but also the amazing things that it teaches her. So I just want to hear a little bit about their bond and their relationship.
Definitely. It makes me emotional to talk about it. Eva is so special. She's such a good sister. But so it's been basically her whole life, because they're not very far apart. Eva is 2.5. Mm-hmm. So from the very beginning, as far as she can as far back as she can remember, Theo has been Theo's sister, and he's always had different little things. Things have gotten harder as she's gotten older a little bit, because she's just more aware that Theo's different. Mm-hmm. But I think also because she's had him since such a young age, she just knows how to help him, and she just knows. Like this morning, he was having a rough morning just a rough morning, and was screaming, crying, throwing himself on the ground, just having such a hard time. And Eva, she never wears her hair down. She hates, I always have to do braids. Every morning we do her hair. Uh-huh. So this morning, before we woke Theo up, I had gotten her almost all ready for school, but we hadn't done our hair. So in the middle of me trying to give Theo supplements and medications, he's screaming. And I was like, "Hey, Eva, what do you want to do for your hair today?" And she yells down, she's like, "Mom, I already put it in a clip. I'm just going to leave it down." Oh my gosh. It's just her being like so aware, like
Yeah.
mom can't deal with one more thing right now. I'm not going to ask her to do my hair. Like, it kind of breaks my heart, but at the same time, like, it's so amazing that she's so aware. And then I went in to go brush Theo's teeth, and she had his brush sitting out with his toothpaste on it. Like, she
Oh,
had it all ready for me without me even
so
asking.
sweet.
And like, it's little things like that. Like, I'm so grateful to have her. But
Yeah.
there's definitely moments like in the summertime where she's not in school and Theo has all of his therapies. And having the therapies in our home is sometimes kind of hard because she
Yeah.
sees that he's getting the one-on-one attention. So luckily we've had such great therapists to be able to include her. And
Yeah,
that's
that's big.
it's a huge thing to me, and we also had to make some changes to our therapists to make
Right.
sure that they were a good fit for our whole family, not just for Theo and not just what I wanted, but for our whole family.
Well, and I think too, just from an ABA perspective, I know that was something I always tried to include because a lot of our kiddos don't get the chance to interact with their sibling in a way that is meaningful, if that makes sense. And I feel like when you have that person that's there doing the ABA and working on things, they can kind of facilitate that and help facilitate some of that play. And it's such a big, like, I just feel like that's a huge part of a family dynamic and being able to help facilitate that. And so you're absolutely right for switching out and finding people that you feel like are gonna help do that and make that a priority for your family. 100%.
Definitely, because that's why we're doing therapy is for, I mean, it's for all of us. It's to help
Right.
him thrive in his environment, which is mostly at home.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's been huge for us. And now that she's in school, she's in first grade. So now that she's in school full time, she totally misses the therapist. She's like, tell my therapist that I said hi.
Oh, that's cute.
It's so cute. But
They're like family.
yes, for sure. And we're so, it's hard. We definitely have to make it a priority to do one-on-one time with Eva. Like tonight, Sean went into the bedroom with Theo and got him to do, we also do the listening program.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of that. It's
I don't think so.
so he wears these special headphones and he listens to certain music that are supposed to activate different parts of his brain.
Okay.
And it really helps calm him. We've only been doing a few weeks, so it's new. But anyway, Sean took him into his room to do the listening program. And we made a point to do it this way so that Theo was out of the way so we made a like spooky gingerbread house, a Trader Joe's gingerbread house. I did that with Eva while he did the listening program with Eva or with Theo. So yeah, just the one-on-one time, super important. And also just, we give her so much praise, like so much praise. Like, Eva, you are such a good sister. Did you see that he looked at you? He wants to give you a kiss. Like, you're so special. He was looking for you, like, when he came home from school, things like that. Just
Your
makes
daily affirmations.
Yes, we do affirmations. It's just like the little things that add up to be big things. And also the way that we talk to Theo, the other kids, they all pick up on, like, her friends, and she, like, they just pick up on it. And if we're patient and super kind and saying so many nice things to him, she knows, like, you can't get frustrated with him because he just doesn't understand.
Right. So there's a couple questions popping up. If you guys have questions for Angela, go ahead and drop them. We're going to take the next 5 minutes to answer some. I have one more question for you on my list.
Okay.
So I just want to chat a little bit about, you kind of mentioned his school. So is he in, what kind of classroom setting is it? Is it all, remind me his grade. Let's start there.
So he's in his second year of preschool.
Okay. And so he goes in the afternoon, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And then is it a separate school because it has the ABA program, or is it like a public preschool?
He doesn't it's not associated with his ABA program at all.
Okay.
It is a public school, so it is within our school district.
Okay.
I'm not sure where we'll be next year, but for right now, it's been a really great fit for us. The bus comes and picks him up from our home and then takes him to school, which I was super scared about it first because
Uh-huh.
sending your nonverbal baby on the bus is terrifying.
You know,
Um,
they're so little.
I know, right? It was so hard. But now, like, he gets so excited, he jumps up and down, and he, like, when he
Oh,
sees the bus coming, he signs more. Like, I'm
oh,
ready,
that's
like, put me on
cute.
the bus. So he
Yeah.
loves the bus. Um, he takes the bus to school. He's gone like a total of like 3 hours.
Okay.
Um, and school, I think there's 6 or 7 kids, the
Okay.
teacher, and 2 to 3 aides. So
Okay.
it's pretty like 1 to 2 ratio, sometimes less than that.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, they do the STAR program, which is an ABA based method.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. One person is asking, where can I find out more info about the listening program?
Okay, so I need to create a highlight about that. But for now, if they want to just message me directly, I'm really, really good at responding to direct messages or DMs. Sometimes better than text messages.
Gotta set aside that time. Okay, I'm just gonna look through really quickly and see if, yes, we are gonna save the live. Okay, sorry, I'm just scrolling through all the comments here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, I don't see any others. I know it's sometimes delayed, so if anybody has a question,
Did
throw it.
you want me to talk about pandas?
Oh, I do. Thank you for reminding me. I have that on my list. Yes. So pandas, I honestly have hardly any clue other than what you've shared. So I
It's
definitely
so
want to hear about pandas.
interesting.
Yes.
So it kind of makes me frustrated because I brought it up to our first pediatrician. We had an occupational therapist when Theo was young, because of his prematurity, and
Uh,
she was the best and has become a close friend. But she was at a conference and heard about pandas, and when Theo's like when we were in the middle of his regression, she's like, you know what, I heard about pandas, do you want to bring it up to his doctor? And I was like, okay. So she told me about it. It's called pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep infections. So
wow.
it's kind of confusing, but basically it's where his body, like natural strep that is in our body, it can create an infection. And basically the antibodies that are supposed to attack the strep end up kind of attacking each other within the brain and causing inflammation.
Interesting. So does it correlate? Sorry to interrupt you. Does that correlate at all with his detoxifying issues? Does that kind of go hand in hand, or is it something totally separate?
It can kind of
Okay.
correlate, but it also kind of it's kind of like associated with autism too. So
Okay.
it can be causing symptoms of autism. So it's kind of like what came first, pandas or autism?
Okay.
Um, so when I brought it up to his pediatrician at the time, he was like, oh no, like absolutely not. That's not like, he kind of just laughed it off. Like that's not a typical diagnosis. But then, so I just pushed it aside and didn't really think about it for a little while. Well, this last summer, Theo became very fixated on certain things. And he was having a really, really hard time. It was almost like an overnight thing. Like he was having these flares, but I didn't know what they were. And he was just
Mm-hmm.
having such a hard time transitioning
It's
and
just
becoming
out of nowhere.
fixated with things. So I remembered pandas when I just was like racking my brain trying to figure out what was going on and what was creating the change. So
Uh-huh.
we came home from vacation. We have a different pediatrician now, and I brought it up to him and he said, yeah, absolutely, let's run the tests. So we ran the labs for pandas. It's really hard to diagnose, but luckily for us, the few labs that we did run right at the beginning was like red flag. His antibodies for strep were like insane through the roof. So I just saw the question, what things was he fixated on?
Mm-hmm.
He was very fixated on like pressing on DVD cases and like lining up certain things. It was kind of like OCD, and it wasn't typical behavior that we're seeing all the time.
It
And
was
so
like out of
pandas,
the ordinary.
yes, and it was like, so when he's in a panda's flare, like he just cries and cries, and it's like the typical things that usually we can get him to come out of those meltdowns don't work. And it's like a different type of cry. It's like, I feel like you just know as a mother when something is off.
Yeah,
And
like
it's,
intuition for sure.
yeah, it's just one of those things. And like he just, there's no coming out of it. And you just feel like, I don't know how to help him. Like, this is heartbreaking. So that's like what the pandas flares feel like. So we, yeah, I just thought, oh, that must be so hard to go through as a mom. Yeah, it's been really hard the last few months, but we found a new doctor that is very, our pediatrician was really, really sweet and just said, I know you do your research. I'm not super familiar with how to treat this, so do some research and I'll do whatever you want to do. So we just moved forward with a different doctor who's out of state, but
and who specializes in it, right?
yeah, he's treated a lot of children with pandas. Okay. So we are going through a new protocol with him on trying to just kind of attack the whole strep in his body. And luckily we haven't seen a pandas flare in about 3 weeks. So we're hopeful that we can.
You know, just seeing your stories, and you guys just got back from vacation.
Yeah. We've had a good last few weeks. It's been really, really good.
So somebody had a question that said, how did you find out he had pandas? So I'll kind of let you share that because you have to do a lot of advocating. I mean, you kind of just talked about it a little bit, but I feel like you kind of self-diagnosed him and then told your doctors, like, listen up.
Yeah, basically that's what I did. And I think that's like what a lot, like any special needs mom knows, like, you know what's best for your child and you're led by, you know, God, the universe, to certain things, situations where your doctor's not. And so I feel like we've had to change Theo's team. Like I said, we had a different pediatrician when he was younger, and just not everything is always in line with what I feel I know about my son and what I've researched. So I am very particular about who we put on our side and who's on our team. And we've had, like, it's been a long road for sure. Like, it isn't just an overnight thing. Like, it's taken a long time to find these doctors and a lot of research and honestly, a lot of connecting with other moms who are in similar situations to see what has helped for them or what doctor they see, or, you know.
Well, and I think too, like, as parents, we spend, especially special needs moms, we spend so much time advocating, and we spend so much time trying to get doctors and insurance companies and just all these different pieces to understand. And like, why waste your time with a doctor who's just going to make it harder, you know? I feel like for any of you listening out there, like, if you're not happy with your doctor, then it's okay to find a new one, and it's okay to find somebody that you feel like is going to support what you think is best for your kiddo.
Oh, 100%. And like, people need to remember that the doctors work for us. Like, we're the ones paying for them, you know? So we need to find the ones that are in line with what direction we feel we need to be going. So yeah, that's kind of how our pandas diagnosis happened. Is luckily we have a pediatrician who is very open to anything that I feel like we need to kind of
try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have one more question. I feel like this one might be kind of a loaded question, but we can kind of see if we can answer it, and we'll end on that. And then, yes, we will save it. Okay, maybe the last one. We'll try to hurry. I don't want to keep you guys too long. It says, do you have any recommendations for getting a child tested for the NTHFR and starting a detox for a child who you believe need to be detoxed?
So I highly recommend getting a MAPS doctor, a doctor who just specializes in this kind of thing. They kind of step outside the realm of just like working with insurance and only doing what insurances dictate, and kind of do a mix of traditional medicine mixed with holistic care.
Uh-huh.
So that being said, like I recommend working with a MAPS doctor. You can always direct message me if you're looking for one, because I think there's a website to find them, but
Okay.
also it's kind of like a small community. So there's going to be someone in your area that like I've heard of. But also as far as getting MTHFR, so different genetic mutations tested, genetic testing, I love a certain company. You can message me, but I also have a whole highlight about genetic testing.
With them on there.
Yeah, it's affordable, and also like they can line you up with a doctor to talk to go over the report with you, and it's really affordable, and it really helped guide us into the direction we needed to be.
Right. Yeah. Okay. There was one more I saw. Let me see. Oh, okay. So this is a good one, and we'll end on this, I promise. Okay. How helpful has taking him to the chiropractor been and looking into it for my daughter who has autism, ADHD, OCD, high anxiety, and sensory? Oof, I keep butchering all the questions. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so chiropractic care was kind of like last thing on my list to be trying, but I had a friend who was doing it with her daughter, and we got together this summer, and I just saw such huge changes in her within such a short amount of time. I was like, what is going on? Are you guys doing a new therapy? Like, what's going on? And she's like, well, we started chiropractic care. Like, that's the only change. And he like has helped her so much. So she got me in touch with him, and that's who I've been working with. I actually texted him earlier today before this live to ask him about how other people out of state can get in contact with chiropractors who practice similar to him. So I have a highlight about chiropractic care. So if you get on there, you can see everything that I've shared already, but also within the next few days, I'll share what he's telling you to find someone in your area. But it really has made such a huge difference. And you can see on my highlight, like he shows and tells you how it all works and why, like there's certain inflammation in our body that is causing these signals to our brain to be blocked, and it helps to open those up. I am horrible at explaining things, but I have highlights that are helpful.
Yes, no, but I have to vouch, and I don't go to the chiropractor very often, but I have seen a lot of families who take their kids there, and it makes a huge difference for them. And just watching the adjustments and the different things that it does, and it's an interesting concept. So I'm definitely curious to see what you end up sharing from him.
It is interesting, and it's hard to explain, but I will say that like his BCBA, his therapist, like his ABA therapist, his speech therapist, his OT, like everyone has commented within the last week, like, wow, Theo, like everything's starting to click for him. Like everything just seems to be coming together. And I'm like, yeah, it's because we started chiropractic.
That's amazing. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and call it a live. I have a couple announcements before you hop off, just because I don't know if it will exit the whole thing out.
Okay.
We will save this. We will also add it to our YouTube channel down the road so that it's there for life and you guys can access it. So it'll be here on the Tulips page, and then it should be live on the Tulips feed. I don't think it will pop up on Angela's after. I think it will be on our Tulips page. So if you want to go back and watch it or have questions or something you missed, you can head to the Tulips page to watch that. So a special announcement, our Tulip shop is going to be opening soon. So we're really excited about that. And then our other thing, we have been working really hard at planning a meetup for you guys. We're going to have it in 3 different states where our hosts are. So Julie is in Idaho. So we're going to have a meetup in Idaho coming up. We're going to have one in Texas where Taylor is. And then we're going to have one in California where myself and Mercedes are. And we'll do one in San Diego and then one near Redlands. So we're going to be posting some details about that soon, but it's going to be kind of a Christmas festive one. All mamas are invited. You guys can even invite your friends to come, whoever, but we just want to create a space for you guys where you can connect and build communities. So I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. Angela, I'm so grateful